The AKS-74U, a weapon adored by many and hated by just as much. But let's rewind to 1974. The Soviet Union introduced a new assault rifle, the AK-74, chambered in the 5.45 by 39 millimeter. It was lighter, more accurate, and had lower recoil than the classic AK-47. Soviet soldiers adored it, but the Ministry of Defense had another problem to solve. A year earlier, they had put out a call for an automatic carbine. They needed a compact weapon to replace the underpowered APS pistol for tank crews, special forces, and airborne troops. Enter the minds behind the project: Mikhail Kalashnikov, Igor Stechkin, Alexander Konstantinov, and Yevgeny Dragunov. The same legends behind some of the most iconic Soviet firearms. In 1977, the Grau made its choice. Kalashnikov's design won. What we now know as the AKS-74, on paper, it was the perfect hybrid between submachine gun and an assault rifle. But reality had other plans. One of the biggest issues, that 8-inch barrel. Cutting it down from the standard rifle length meant more unburnt powder, leading to excessive fouling and unreliable sustained fire. And let's not forget about the insane muzzle flash. It was like setting off a flashbang in front of you every time you pulled the trigger. To combat this, Soviet engineers slapped on a booster. And did it help? Not really. The AKS-74U still kicked like a mule, and the shorter barrel meant lower muzzle velocity, making it inaccurate past 350 yards. Literally point blank range. So, how did the troops feel about their new advanced weapon? Well, they hated it. Tankers ditched their reliable PPS 43s for something bulkier and less dependable. Pilots had to lug around these things in comically large holsters, and even paratroopers, who were supposed to benefit the most from its compact size, quickly realized the drawbacks. It wasn't small enough to be a proper PDW, and it wasn't effective enough to be a real combat rifle. Fast forward to the First Chechen War, and things only got worse. In the chaos of post Soviet Russia, the AKS 74U wasn't just issued to specialists, it was handed out to standard infantry. And if its flaws weren't obvious before, they sure were now. The sighting system was another disaster. The front sight had to be moved forward due to the shortened barrel, meaning the rear sight ended up on the dust cover. And since AK dust covers aren't exactly known for being stable, they had to hinge it for extra support. That's still not great. Even Russian special forces weren't fond of it. The gun was often issued with the NPSU night vision sight, a brick of an optic that basically doubled the weight of the gun. And since you couldn't mount a GP-25 grenade launcher, they tried the clunky underbarrel BS-1 launcher, which made things about 10 times worse. So what eventually replaced this little Frankenstein's monster? Two weapons: the PP-19 Vityaz and the AK-105. The Vityaz stepped in as a proper submachine gun when a small, effective PDW was needed. Meanwhile, the AK-105 took the role of a more refined compact carbine in the 100 series. And yet, despite all of this, the AKS-74U is still an icon. Why? Well, first off, it just looks cool. There's something about its aggressive, chopped down profile that just exudes swagger. Then there's the name, Krinkov. No one really knows where it came from, but it traces back to the Pashto speaking Mujahideen fighters who mispronounced Kalashnikov as Kalakov, which eventually evolved into Krinkov. Though there isn't much evidence for this, the name stuck. And in the US, it's rare. That scarcity alone makes it desirable. Collectors and enthusiasts want it, not because it's a great weapon, but because it's a great piece of history. So, is the AKS-74U a good gun? Fuck no. It's loud, inaccurate, unreliable, and completely impractical for real world combat. But do I still want one? Fuck yeah. Because sometimes being a total failure doesn't stop you from being a legend.
If you liked it, like it. If you hated it, dislike it. Leave a comment. Any feedback is much appreciated. And subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. Bye.